from the opportunities, from the chances which we have with digitalization. We have more convenient for consumers. We have a higher productivity of society. As you said, we live longer, and we have probably, let's say, an easier life than the generation before us and the generation before, as it always was with evolution. On the other side, robotics, automation, digitalization might substitute not only the blue-collar worker, it might substitute as well the white-collar workers in the future. So how do you see the risk of unemployment? How do you risk of people not educated in this digital world, to be losers in this environment?
Well, that is a really loaded question. The first part of that, I'd say, the digitization piece is pointing to a lot of the great short-term opportunities for especially a company like Deutsche Telekom. I mean, you probably have access to information and sensor systems and information platforms that give you a unique perspective about people, about the environment, about how things interact, where you can draw some very exciting correlations to how people live to help their lives be more productive or for their work to be more productive. And the one example I always love to give, I saw you had an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, I think, there. And we had a project a few years ago where a team discovered that people that wear the Fitbit or an Apple Watch, they actually make better financial decisions in their lives. And it's an interesting correlation of data. It's not causal, right? Just because you wear a Fitbit doesn't increase your math skills. But it does mean that there's a certain type of person that does certain types of things that lead to a certain types of valuable result. And there are so many opportunities. And this is about data analytics, right? It's about looking at information in a different way. Now, the skill to do that kind of data analytic is a new one, right? This is something that when you and I went to school, there was no such thing as data science, right? That was crazy stuff. So it's a new job. And that's, for me, where I'm most optimistic about the future of jobs. In the 60s, every time this question comes up, turns out in the 60s, there was a group of leading technologists in the US who were a little bit freaked out about this computer thing because they saw computers wiping out a majority of white-collar jobs. They thought no accountants in the future, no lawyers, so many things are going to go away. And computers have eradicated a lot of jobs. But what's happened is a lot of totally new opportunities that we never imagined have come online. That's going to continue to happen. Now, the difference today is that computers really started coming online in the 60s. We've had 50 years to adapt, right? We've sent our kids and next generations to college to learn about computers and the next tier of sort of technologies and come up with new jobs. And so we've had generations to adapt, and we've kept up pretty well. The technologies are moving exponentially, which means the timeline is getting compressed. And so the amount of change that's happening in the next single generation is pretty extraordinary. And so the responsibility to adapt and do retraining and new skills development is your responsibility and my responsibility and the leaders of corporations and the leaders of governments. And our whole education system worldwide has to shift the mentality. In fact, I think the term education should be eradicated. The concept of getting a degree and then being deemed a success and you're able to do things should be eradicated. We need to start creating the principle of continuous learning at every age. We can no longer stop learning, especially in a world where things are moving so quickly.